let me tell you of a man, John Scott, who made the big show, giving all he got. No, he never did have much in terms of skill, but he fought his way in cause the man was built. He was 6'8" and weighed a good 8 ton. When he fought the NHL and he won, he became an all-star just despite the league, and he played real hard, and that's why we call him Big John. Yeah, the All-Star Game was a big sad joke, and we all agreed. But one man spoke, John Scott's a beaut, let's vote him in. And that's where this tall man's tale begins. Well, the fans all spoke and the votes piled up. The league took note and they'd had enough, cause they hated last and they wanted him gone, and they had no respect for our hero, John Scott. Press sanctimonious cursed his name, wrote a goon's gonna ruin our All-Star Game. Then they called him a joke and they wrung their hands, said he don't deserve it, fuck the fans. Then the league told him that he'd make his kids ashamed, and his GM cried and demanded a trade. So they sent poor John off to Newfoundland, and it looked like curtains for our good man, John. So the fans enraged fought the NHL. They spoke up loud and they gave him hell. Said we voted fair, you reinstate him. Pat Kane's a real creep and y'all still fillet him. So the NHL had to quell the masses, and they pulled their fat heads out from their asses. From the Texas coast to Saskatchewan, we all cheered when they named one Captain John Scott. Captain John Scott. It's kind of fun to say it. It was Nashville's game, and it's no surprise that the crowd all stood when he took the ice. Pavs and Burnsy, his old teammates, it was 3-on-3 and there was room to skate. On his very first shift, on his very first shot, John Scott scored a goal cause the line was hot. Caught a real nice pass off of Burnsy's twig, and he made no mistake, and that's why he's Big John. Then Patrick Kane stood up in his path, and that was one alleged rapist put on his alleged ass. John took that puck for a breakaway, and that's just his second best feat that day. He was interviewed by the dunce JR, whose brain was small as his mouth was large. John Scott told him off right to his face, and that's just part of what makes him Great Scott. Full 6'8", Johnny stood defiant. He was always big, but he came up giant. Caught a breakaway, and he scored one more for the sold-out crowd. And the fans, they roared with the goal he pulled, and the game intense. There was Captain John Scott on defense, kept a stick in lanes, so they had no shot. Yeah, he did it all, and that's why he's Great Scott. That's what they call him in the headlines anyway. Great Scott. Well, one last snub came from the league and the candidates for the MVP, but the crowd stood up and they did what's right, and they made Johnny MVP that night. So he grabbed the check, he had won the game, and he grabbed his helmet for the Hall of Fame. Then he drove away in his brand new car, and we praised the day he became All-Star Scott. He's remembered fondly, even though he's gone from the 2-bit league, what had done him wrong. Now immortalized in a 2-bit song, the man, the myth, the all-star, John Scott.